Live at Lunch on Demand is presented by Supreme Rice since the 1930s, supporting Louisiana farmers and communities throughout Louisiana. To find out more, go to supremerice.com.
Live at Lunch.
You are looking live.
Live at Lunch. Live at Lunch with Ott and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
What the hell's going on out here?
Now, here's Jimmy Ott and Charles Handegriff.
For some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Is it live? Is it live? Is it live?
From Mike Anderson Seafood, Wesley at Nicholson, welcome to the Tuesday edition Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Handegriff, Jimmy Ott, Max Gotro, Jordan Kitchens back in the studio. Andy Isco with us on Tuesdays, Greg Bowser with us on Tuesdays, first class, second class, no class on Tuesdays. We're here in the Oyster Bar, right to the right when you come into the restaurant here at Mike Anderson's. Beautiful day here in Baton Rouge. Jimmy, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
All right, we had another entertaining night of football last night with the Vikings and the Bears. Before we get into LSU in Florida and a whole bunch of other topics, really interesting game last night between two young quarterbacks, one who was a rookie last year and struggled but has a new coach, and another one who sat out an entire year last year with an injury his rookie season. So he was playing the first game that counted all the way back to the national championship game between Michigan and Washington. And I think if you wanted to sum up the game in one sentence, maybe that's a little oversimplifying because we got to get into the clock things, but one quarterback got better as the game went on, and one quarterback got worse. Caleb Williams opened the game 10 for 10. He was 13 of 16 in the first half. You could tell what the emphasis was, which was for him to, simple as it sounds, throw completions, to take checkdowns, to keep it safe, to not try to play hero ball all night. If you were playing a drinking game and took a sip every time Troy Aikman said completion, you would have been passed out by halftime. But nevertheless, it worked out fairly well for Williams early. He, like I say, completed his first 10 passes. And then there were a couple of times where he got out of the pocket and did some things that make him at times a special player. The scramble for the touchdown was a really athletic play. The laser beam when he was rolling out on the right side was a terrific throw. And then he took a lot of check downs that kept things safe. But the offense was kind of stagnating, once they got into the second quarter. J.J. McCarthy looked pretty rough in the first half. He looked like a guy who hadn't played a game that counted since January a year ago. But Minnesota rush game kind of helped him out a little bit. Jordan Mason, who's probably going to take over for Aaron Jones as the primary back, already last night he had almost twice as many carries. For Aaron Jones, who's been a really good player in the league for a while, and is still a part of their receiving game, McCarthy was able to lean on that a little bit, and they only went to the locker room down 10-6. But in the third quarter, McCarthy made his biggest mistake of the night, laid on a ball on the outside that ended up being returned for a touchdown. And when we went to the fourth quarter, it was 17-6, and Chicago looked like, well, it wasn't perfect, but they were going to get home. And for the second straight night, the team trailing by 2 scores going into the fourth quarter came roaring back. In the fourth quarter, Minnesota scored 3 times. McCarthy threw 2 touchdown passes. And Williams, who was 13 of 16 in the first half, went 8 for 19 the rest of the way. He made a mistake on a ball he was supposed to throw away and ended up being a loss. And the Vikings come all the way back. Jimmy, the 2 quarterbacks went in opposite directions. I don't know which other way to put it. They got about equal production from their running games. The numbers there were almost identical. But McCarthy made plays in the fourth quarter, and Williams, I think you said in pre-show he hit a wall. I think that's probably accurate.
The whole team did. We see some of these games where the team emotional. They were fired up. Their new coach, they were doing well. A little sense of optimism for the team. The crowd was into it, and they looked sharp early. And it was like it's one of those boxing matches where they throw all the punches. Max, he's trying to get your attention. The thing is not connected to here. So all of the guys were trying to get this straight. They threw out all their punches, and they were out of punches. But, I mean, the whole spark was when they're up 17-6 and they got the ball at the 20-yard line, and Williams reverts back to his scrambling backwards. And, a holding penalty on one play, but, kind of going back. This is what Johnson obviously identified with, and he's trying to get him out, get the ball out. I thought Williams did a really good time of kind of sensing some pressure and some pocket awareness where he kind of bought himself some time, and that's not extended plays, but in the right way, but never. Once he starts going backwards, then we're dealing with, let's just kind of limit the negativity of a certain play. So that's the thing that, Tennessee LSU, once momentum's real, there's no doubt about that. But that spark, and then all of a sudden, Minnesota pops a couple of plays because they did nothing offensively. And McCarthy looked like it was his first game that he ever started. He hadn't played a game in 2 years. He was limited in preseason. Instead of trying to get him, they wanted him healthy. And he's the hero yesterday. And then he used his legs and that's that athleticism on a third down. Funny how Baltimore and Jackson couldn't do that at the biggest play of the game. Yeah. But it was the Bears' defense was out of gas. It was the game completely flipped, but it started with that sequence where they were back. And I thought Minnesota gave them way too much cushion to give them a much more makeable field goal for Santos. And I didn't see a ton of wind, but that thing just went wide, and bam, spark provided for the Vikings, and then they were a completely different team. 21 straight out of a team that couldn't do anything offensively, and then bam, bam, bam.
Yeah, for Caleb Williams, I thought this was better. I think he'll get better. I thought he made good decisions in the first half. Did he miss some throws down the field in the first half? Aikman said he did. He had the wide view. I'll trust Aikman there. But I saw him miss some throws in the fourth quarter to open receivers. He missed Kmet over the middle on a crosser that should have been a nice gain.
And he missed tight end passes are easy too.
And he missed DJ Moore on a ball that would have been a touchdown in the fourth quarter towards the latter parts of the game. Okay, those were plays in which he was protected, had an open receiver, and missed him. All I can tell you is go back and keep working on it. But the decision-making I didn't think was bad at all for Williams last night, even if it was a little bit cautious in the first half. The clock thing, O'Connell had it right. There was 2 minutes and 2 seconds to go in the game. The Bears had one timeout. He wanted to make sure that his returners, if they fielded the ball, brought it out of the end zone so the clock would run. The clock running was a lot more important than the field position. It doesn't matter where the ball is. You want the clock to run to take out the 2-minute warning, which they did. The returner had to look over to the sidelines. O'Connell, who had probably already told him that, says, come on out. He brought it out, and they killed the 2-minute warning there. What Chicago should have done, if they don't have a kicker that they know that can kick the ball out of the back of the end zone, and Cairo Santos is not the strongest leg. No, he's not the strongest leg.
He got it deeper than I thought he could.
He got it 7 yards or so, David. Yeah. So, he's a fairly accurate kicker. He's been a veteran guy, but he's not a strong leg. You kick the ball out of bounds and make sure that the clock doesn't run. You kick it in the air, out of bounds, where they cannot field it. It's 2 minutes and 2 seconds. They run the first down play. You get a 2-minute warning. They run the second down play. You call timeout. They run the third down play. The clock runs. And probably the Bears get the ball back with a little over a minute to go. Do they drive into field goal range? Do they, keep the game going? Who knows? But you would have given yourself a chance. As they did it, the Bears got the ball back with 9 seconds to go and had no chance. Live and learn. One coach managed the clock better than the other one, and one quarterback played better in the fourth quarter than the other one.
I was like, for a second, when the return guy fielded it and he paused, like, what are you doing? What, didn't they just instruct you?
Yeah,
No, you need. I mean,
it was almost like you sure? Yes, come on, because
Yeah.
he's probably been coached, the entire camp. 7 yards deep in the end zone, don't take the ball out.
well,
But this is different.
Running
This
backs
is
are running backs are coached to get as much yardage as they can
until they need to get down.
But on Friday night, I mean, you got to tell the rookie. I mean, I can't believe he did that if he was really stressed coming out of a timeout. They're out of timeouts. You cannot go out of bounds. You cannot give them the 3 points. And so instead of 15 seconds, they would have had about a minute 5.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's a huge difference. And they had to burn one of the timeouts, or they burned one of the timeouts on a review when the person for the Vikings was down. I think it was a tight end. The guy
Hawkinson?
He was on his knee, and the guy punched the ball out.
Yeah, he did.
I remember
the play.
When he's down, and as soon as you make contact with the
was
ball
touched.
or him or anything else, no, it's over. So that was a valuable timeout that was burned. They wish they could have had.
They could have really used that one.
But booing him at the end of the game. Van Pelt asked, Buck, and Buck took all the time to talk about. Says, I just feel it's different. They got the new coach. There's a little optimism, and they kind of forced Aikman into. After Buck went on and on about, no, I think this is different. There's a little bit more optimism here. They'll be okay. Aikman, I guess, just kind of fell in line because Van Pelt said, well, I'm out of time, but I got to stretch this out. Troy, do you agree? But, man, the booing of game one, I mean, I guess it's a frustrating loss. You had a double-digit lead in the second half or the fourth quarter. And, I mean, yeah, when you blow them like that and they came out so sharp. You could tell he wants to get the ball out of Williams' hand early. And, Charlie, you like to go into script plays, but early. But he fell back into some bad habits later in the game. And that's what
it got worse. He's
trying. I don't want so much playground stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole thing with Goff is, and he's a completely different quarterback than Goff. I mean, completely different. He does have some shifty feet and some elusiveness. But, last resort, let's try and get the ball out on rhythm to start off with. And a lot of check down stuff. It was stressed, and they're going to continue to stress it and try to stick with that approach as opposed to falling into too many freelance plays.
If I'm a Bears fan, I'm encouraged by this. Williams repeated that in the pregame interview. The last little thing before he was on with Lisa Salters, I think it was, and he said, she said, what are you looking to do? And he said, look, we just want to make good plays, we want to complete balls, and don't go. He didn't say be a hero, but it was something like that. It was, don't try to be Superman. Unless you have to.
I think Aikman did use the term hero ball.
Aikman did, but Williams himself,
okay.
I think, says Superman. But it's just the same thing.
Yeah, sure.
And
okay.
he's coming out, and he is taking coaching. He's doing exactly what they told him to do. He didn't revert. Like I said, he didn't regress until the second half. So that's progress. And he's hearing it. He's trying to do that, and then maybe instinct takes over. And look, he made a couple of huge plays with his feet. The touchdown run, that ain't an easy thing. There ain't a hell of a lot of quarterbacks. Maybe, a handful of quarterbacks can make that play. The throw he made on the run in the first half, there ain't many guys can make that throw on the run the way he did. Just less of that and more of the other things. And when you get, I think what Aikman is saying here is when you get enough of these checkdowns, you get enough of these completions, you get enough confidence, and you get enough rhythm, then the plays down the field will start to come easier. And I think it was better. There were 2 sacks last night. This guy was he the most sacked in the league last year? Or was it C.J. Stroud? It was close.
I think it was him.
Both had a ton.
I think Williams was the most.
Yeah. They ran the ball a little bit better. Those 3 offensive linemen that they acquired in the offseason, it was a little bit better. DeAndre Swift had a little bit of room to run.
Well,
he wasn't
flipped, they couldn't get a yard.
No, once it flipped. But if you're the Bears, are you looking for improvement? Yes. Do you see improvement? Yeah. Are you as good as the Vikings? You are not. Even with J.J. McCarthy, a quarterback struggling for more than half the game.
From the Bears' perspective, the fans, too, like, okay, we can't win this divisional game at home with this guy's first start when he obviously had to work some kinks out. When are we going to beat him?
I understand that, but I would.
You don't think you're going to get the Vikings at a better chance in this guy's first start and almost was it two? What were we talking about? I mean, 30 months. I mean,
this is what I would tell them to that. And you're right. This is a great position for them to be in. The Vikings won 14 games last year, and the Bears won 5. There's a big gap between these teams last year. Okay, so in the first game of this year, did you make up all of the gap? No. You got closer. Okay, I know no fan wants to hear that today because you had a 17-6 lead, but let's be honest, okay? The Vikings roster is better. The Vikings coaching staff has been there longer, and they did a better job with their quarterback in the second half.
That is not the tone and the airwaves.
No,
in Chicago
of course it's
today.
not.
No.
I'm 1,000 miles away or whatever we are, and I got no stake in the Bears. Okay, I just watched a football game. I don't expect them to be rational. We're not rational around here when the Saints are competitive and lose in years where they actually have a chance, not this year, or when LSU does. So that would be what I would tell them is you're better, and I think you'll continue to get
Speak
better.
for yourself.
Okay, well.
You mentioned the word rhythm. And that was all. The ball was just coming out of McCarthy's hands once he got on a roll in rhythm.
Yeah.
Completely different.
Beautiful throw to Aaron Jones.
And that's why yeah, it was nice. You really now he had a kind of a dead player there. I mean, a linebacker.
Oh, he blew a wheel, yeah.
Linebacker who is beat and has no signs, and he's turning back around.
Right.
So, but that's part of recognizing it. But it just came out of it. He was just getting the 2-point conversion. Man, that was a completely different release than the first 2-point conversion.
Yeah. The 2 touchdown pass, the bullet to Jefferson, kind of a feathered, nice touch pass to Jones.
Well, he stepped into the touchdown. He threw another one to Jefferson. I thought that, Jefferson got to make that catch. I mean, you got to help out your young quarterback.
He had to
there.
Go up a little bit, but you're Justin Jefferson.
If you're a top
almost,
3 receiver, top 5. I mean, that's a CD Lamb type of should have had one. So, but no, it's two young coaches, divisional, but the Bears let one get away. And that's here we go. How many, and how late they start both all divisional games in the NFC North, and then they play divisional game next week too. They go to Detroit. I mean, and how many games did the home team? That's 3 straight home divisional dogs in this weekend that all had leads, and all blew them,
and all lost them.
Seattle, Atlanta, and Chicago,
and Baltimore. That's not a divisional game, but they blew a big lead in the fourth quarter. So watch all the way to the end, guys.
Yep. In hedge and in game, I was active last night, no doubt. So, because I mean, you could see it unfolding. If you did it, you definitely could see it unfolding. So, I mean, when they got that spark, when they cut it to 5, I mean, it was game on. It was game on. It was
plus 450 before the score and plus 290 right after it. You still had an opportunity.
We're live here at Mike Anderson's today, of course, every Tuesday and Tuesday evening, Tuesday night, 5 to 9 p.m. in the bar area. It is half off oysters on the half shell. Yes, indeed. Hey, man, it was busy over here this past weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for LSU's home opener in football. And with Florida coming to town, it'll be even busier. So a lot of people coming over here before. And look, if you had it, don't show up to the tailgate party empty-handed. We've got gallons of daiquiris, gallons of margaritas, gallons of frozen bushwhackers that you can take along with the cups and straws to your tailgate parties. So that's a great stop. Of course, it's very convenient. So you're parking on the south side of campus, make a pit stop over here at Mike Anderson. So, again, gallons of strawberry daiquiris, frozen margaritas, and frozen bushwhackers available on game day on your way. Don't show up to a tailgate empty-handed.
Live at Mike Anderson's Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at Lunch with Ott and Yanni from Mike Anderson Seafood on Lee Drive on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Remember, you can always get the show on demand, 1045ESPN.com, LouisianaSports.net. That's brought to you by Supreme Rice, supporting Louisiana farmers since the 1930s. For more information, get to SupremeRice.com. New Handicast will be dropped tonight. We'll do film study on LSU and Louisiana Tech. That episode should be dropped sometime mid-evening. Jimmy, we're going to do more about the Florida team and the football part of this. I just got to ask you while we got a second here. What's got to be going through your head if you're Billy Napier at this point? Having just lost to South Florida, having the schedule that they have in the next 4 weeks at 3 top 16 programs. The game at home is against number 7 Texas. Your next three games are all against top 7 teams, and the next 2 are on the road. And if you manage to get past that, you still got Georgia, you still got at Ole Miss, you still got Tennessee, and you still got Florida State on your schedule.
He's on the schedule for a long time.
I know, but it seems like it's got more.
He had a brutal schedule last year. I mean, probably the toughest schedule in college football last year.
Don't you think this schedule is harder now?
He might have. Well, if he was. Did you think they had the hardest schedule last year?
I did.
Okay, and I think they do this year too. So,
I think it's even harder.
So he's done it before. If you asked a show of hands in the stands, would they have fired him last year?
Yes.
Sure. So, yeah. I mean, here he is again. How did he do last year?
Rallied.
Okay.
Rallied.
And he's got his guy. Lagway is his guy. So, I mean, they're going to – it's not like that it was stupid. It was lack of discipline, not just the spitting, but 13 penalties and all. And that's got to clean up. I mean, they're not good enough to, like even South Florida, which is – to just throw away possessions and yards like that. I mean, and so Charlie, he's done it. If anybody's familiar with this, it's him. So no, I don't think he's thinking any different than what he did last year.
I'm not sure I've seen somebody with such a daunting task. I mean, I remember when Gus had the 2 games with Alabama and Georgia coming up that November, and it was I think it was in 17 or whatever year it was. Georgia and Alabama were both really good. He said, "Okay, you win one, you keep your job. You win both, you get a
number one. They beat them.
Yeah, you win both, you get a contract extension. You lose both, you're fired. I mean, it's the lady of the tiger." And for Napier,
Malzahn's got
he won them both, and he got
go play around for the OC, and because he's good, he's got money. So and then Napier's going to have some money too when they let him go at the end of this year or later on in the season. But if you ask me, who's more prepared for this than him?
No, I understand. He's got to keep his head down and keep working, and he's been through this before. It's just when you look
who else has been through this? Nobody's had his schedule.
With this schedule,
nobody's had his struggles.
I guess that's my point, is you look at this schedule and you start to rationalize, not him, but just the fans. Okay, maybe we go down and get a big effort at LSU. Maybe we pull the upset.
Well,
maybe Miami, maybe we get Texas A&M. If you get through all of that,
Charlie,
you still got to
worry about his
Georgia
team.
and Ole Miss.
You got to coach your team.
Sure.
We got to try and control the controllables, and we got to. He can't look at big picture and all that. I mean, we got to clean up these 13 penalties. We got to try and get our quarterback and our receivers on the same page, and have a more efficient some more continuity to our passing game. The one thing that is clear that wasn't last year: does he stick with his experienced quarterback in Graham Mertz, or does he make the move to Lagway? That's clear this year. Lagway's his guy. Lagway, you can make an argument. And I'm good with it. I think if it wasn't for Lagway, he'd be gone last year. And I would have to think if Lagway got the ear of any administrators, I mean, he showed the support. We were blown away. Rohan and I were doing Football Sunday last year. How this team kept it together. I mean, we were blown away. I mean, it's just not easy. It's not common. It's very rare for a team that was struggling the way Florida was, a high-resource program, even with their brutal schedule. But they went to Utah and looked like garbage, if you remember early, on the Thursday night game, and it came back, and he kept it together. And so he's done this before with a big part of his roster still intact. So, I mean, it's what is the chances, the probability of him surviving, them having no, it's brutal because – he doesn't have control. The 13 penalties is a ton. And the spitting. I mean, when the game's on the line, you're going to give them 15 yards and lose a guy that you have on the field at the most critical point. So, but if anybody's done it, he is the guy. He did it just last year.
And it was Lagway plus the defense. And, yes, I'm aware of the schedule. There are no layups. There is no sure win.
South Florida was the layup.
Long Island was the layup. And, you're playing Miami and Florida State, and they both look like they're pretty good. And even what's supposed to be the easier spots on your SEC schedule, Mississippi State and Kentucky, both have life. I mean, there's not a
Mississippi State, you might be a double-digit favorite in that one. You probably will be.
At home, but
16, will you be 16 like you were Saturday?
Oh, I wouldn't lay 16 at Mississippi State right now, even for a game in
that's
Gainesville.
at home.
Even for a game in Gainesville, I wouldn't lay that many.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's the spread, but I wouldn't lay that many.
I don't think it's going to be close.
Mississippi State's got at least a heartbeat. You can make a case every game on this schedule. They're no lock to win any of them.
What was the record last year when they turned it around?
Oh, it was bad. I mean, I thought he was dead man walking last year. So maybe you're right. And if it's not for Lagway, and if they'd had a sitting president, maybe he would have. They were
4-5.
They were 4-3. Yeah, it wasn't quite as they weren't in a huge hole or anything.
Where were they at this 2 games they got
lost to
Miami,
by
Miami,
and then they lost to A&M. They were 1-2. They had beaten Samford, but then they got a game against Mississippi State, who was awful a year ago, and they got a game against Central Florida that they were able to win. I don't see any let up on their schedule.
Mississippi State.
Like I said, I think Mississippi State's better than I thought they were 2 weeks ago.
Okay, but you're not picking Mississippi State to go into.
I'm not expecting them to win, no. But that's a tougher game now, and as is Florida State. Both of those games I think are tougher now than I thought they were 2 weeks ago. And Kentucky,
Florida State's way better than Mississippi State.
They are. No argument. Kentucky's better. If they can have an effort like they had on Saturday, they're not an easy out. So, you always say, there's no easy outs in the SEC, but sometimes you get a team that's locked at the bottom, and they're not going to.
No, through 2 games, Kentucky, Mississippi State. Who else is near the bottom?
I think Vandy was picked 13th,
oh, God,
and they're better. They're way better than that.
They're better than they were last year? Hard to say.
Yeah. Interesting game with South Carolina this week. We know,
great game.
We know better than to do comparable opponents, but what they did at Virginia Tech and what South Carolina did, against Virginia Tech, I mean, it ain't nothing.
Yeah,
I'm not going to base my pick on that, but it ain't nothing.
Who was the bottom teams last year? Was Kentucky, Mississippi
State finished last.
I know Kentucky
was 1-7,
and was Oklahoma, Auburn,
I think. Yeah.
Auburn's better, huh?
Yeah. They're better.
So the bottom of your league is better.
Yes.
Yeah.
It
appears through 2 weeks.
It
sure
definitely
looks like
Auburn finished 13th.
It was Oklahoma's record
14th
last year.
Oklahoma in the league last year
2-6.
2-6. Yeah,
they're better.
Yeah, they are.
Ain't no doubt. Maybe the bottom. When you could beat Mississippi State, the team that picked to finish last, beats your defending champion and your top 15 team in the Big 12. It was. Don't forget our friends over at Legacy Title, Chad Reynolds Legacy Title for all of your real estate closings. 2960060. Full service title company servicing all of South Louisiana. Fast, friendly, professional service is what you get with our long-standing team. Ashley Donald, Mariana Haynes, Adrian Galata, Michael Platt, Natalie, and Bradford Smith. Buying, building, refinancing. Nobody choose but you. Choose Chad Reynolds and Legacy Title.
Live at Mike Anderson's Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Heading out to Las Vegas, deep in the desert, lives one man. One man of many sports bets. The one and only Andy Isco.
Andy, what's going on, buddy? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well, Jimmy. I'd been doing a little bit better if the Bears had been able to win last night, but we did get to learn a few things, and I'm starting to join you and many others with a negative assessment of Caleb Williams.
You think I have a negative assessment of him? I mean,
well, you don't. I know you haven't thought that he's all that good. He takes a lot of sacks. So he wasn't all that terrible last night. What he had 2 or 3, I think, which is an improvement. But some of his decision making seems to be questionable. Although part of it is the coaches. I mean, you really wish that they had not wasted those 2 timeouts earlier and then have them in the last minute when they could have used them.
Well, the first one, when on the challenge, that they wasted. The other ones, the last 2, they were trying to stop clock. They were trying to manage the clock. Yeah. But I thought he had a good start, and I think that's. I mean, I think Charlie and I both agree as well. I think that's that's what the new coach is going to. It's like, no, this is what we want. It wants it out of his hand quicker, and that's one thing you don't see. I mean, they were very successful in what they did in Detroit. And Goff is not – he doesn't have the shiftiness, the elusiveness, and just the ability to extend plays like Williams. I get that, but I think he wants it out of his hand quicker. Goff, the average time, his release time was pretty short. And so they don't have Detroit's offensive line from last year. But
they were doing a lot too much unscripted or plays that he was not able to recognize and try to take it upon himself. And that is something that I thought they were going to really work on during the OTAs and summer, that he would be more of that. He wouldn't look to run around as a first resort.
Yeah. Andy, how so we give out picks, and so we're not on during the games right now. Okay, and so it's difficult to give out live suggestions when you're not on. We just try and give you general thoughts. And I've always, when you see it coming, and my old motto is, there's never been a bad beat that you couldn't have hedged out of. You kind of see it coming. And so I'm glad that we have at least a little bit of that safety valve, and some just won't do it.
I did that with Indianapolis. I did that with the Colts on Sunday when I saw how miserably prepared the Dolphins were.
Geez, how could you hedge when they were down the whole game?
Early on, you could tell early on in that first quarter that Indy was prepared, so had to do a few things early before it got out of hand.
Well, there was no doubt that was the worst performance of the week, and not just that they couldn't do anything on offense, but Daniel Jones and the Colts offense scored the first 7 times they had the ball.
Yeah.
I mean,
Miami's performance was only slightly, maybe a little bit more worse than the Giants.
It was clearly worse than the Giants, if you ask me. Yeah. I think Commanders are a much better team than the Colts, and the other thing is that any yardage that they got and that touchdown, it was garbage time. I mean, that thing was over. So
the Colts scored every time they had the ball.
7 straight times. The whole game?
Yeah, every single time they had the ball, they scored. They didn't even kneel on it at the end of the game. They got a field goal on their last drive. And that hasn't happened in a while in the NFL. That's where you scored every time you had the ball.
We don't want to kill him since it's Daniel Unitas, coach, quarterback of the Colts, huh, Andy? I mean, jeez.
Well, they got a good running back when healthy. That opens up a lot of things. And Jones, maybe was the victim of poor coaching after his college career, although he did have that 1 year when Dable first came in there and they made the playoffs and won a playoff game. But I think it's a lot more of a stable situation. And being out of the New York spotlight, I guess, has to be a positive for Daniel Jones, who, he was capable of handling it, but it was an unnecessary distraction.
So we saw a game, Charlie, we sat at the Beau Rivage last year, and watched Skylar Thompson, maybe, quarterback for Miami, and it was like a root canal trying to get yards and first downs, okay, in that game. But how many times, dome or Miami weather, that Tua, Tyreek, Waddle, and Ashan are all healthy, and they look like that?
Oh,
yeah.
They don't.
No, not very many. No.
Now, have they been a bully where they step up in class and they get slapped down sometimes? But this is also a team that, another one of the Jim Harbaugh collapses. I remember one time in Baltimore about 3 or 4 years ago, they stormed back from 21 down. I mean, they were just airing it out all over the place.
I do remember that game.
To have everybody healthy and shut down by that, I mean, against a team that's going to be, about 8-9, 9-8 every year.
They had an interesting question on the morning show. If the Dolphins are drafting in the top 10 next year, would you take a quarterback? What kind of faith do you have in Tua at this point? And keep in mind, you'd have to eat a lot of money. But if you had a
not only that, you got Tua's history of injuries.
Yeah, I mean, if you were the Dolphins and you had to pick, let's say in the top 8, top quarter of the draft, would you take a quarterback?
Depends. You have to assume McDaniels would be gone at that point. I wonder if he's going to last out September, honestly. But the Bears have tried it a few times, giving up on quarterbacks, and we don't know if Justin Fields is going to be the real deal that they thought he would be in Chicago now that he's with the Jets, although the signs are encouraging, even though it's only one game. And then, of course, they gave up on Fields to get Caleb Williams, who certainly seems to still be a work in progress. I think Tua has the weapons there, but I think maybe he needs better coaching.
Well, I can tell you who does look the part as far as the Colts are concerned, and that's Tyler Warren, the tight end for Penn State.
Yeah.
I mean, he was in there, I think, on 85% of the pass plays that were called. I mean, for his first game, he looks like he's a seasoned vet. He looked very comfortable,
Caught 7 balls for 76 yards and looks very Brock Bowers-esque.
Bowers is banged up this week, so I'm going to watch that. Andy, what's your thoughts about how many Survivor? There were tons of scares, but not a whole lot of carnage.
Yeah, I don't remember what the total number eliminated. I think it was about 600 something going into last night's game, and I don't know if don't recall if the Bears or the Vikings were heavily played, which wouldn't be a surprise considering it's close to a pick'em game. And actually, here in Vegas, at a couple of spots, the game did close pick'em with some late money coming in on Chicago. So certainly, Denver was perhaps the closest scare because that was such a close game throughout. Although I did play the under in that one, so I wasn't surprised that was a low-scoring game where I felt that the first team to 20 would win, and it turns out it was Denver late in the game that got there. But we'll see what happens this week. We'll see, obviously the big play this week. And, again, sometimes you can't go back and take a look to last year because if you took back to last year, you wouldn't have been on Denver this week because they were in a similar situation to the Bengals last week. Well, this week that team will be Baltimore. Huge favorite over a Cleveland team that actually played well defensively enough to limit the Bengals to under 200 yards, and of course, was it a missed extra point that kept the game from being tied? But and they had some opportunities late. But the Ravens is a 12.5 point favorite over the Browns, and the Ravens coming off of a very tough loss. But keep in mind, they also came off a very tough loss last year with that toe tap in Kansas City. So you do have situations like that repeating themselves. But I think we're going to see probably about 30 to 35% of the survivors. Maybe not quite that high because Baltimore does play a Thanksgiving Christmas game, I think, at least one of those days. But you're going to see a substantial amount. You'll see more than the 70, whatever it was, on Denver this week on the Ravens.
97% of the Circa Survivor entries advance as the favorites to dominate. Let me ask you, is there, from the surviving, anything with the people you proxy for, any sort of behavioral guide here? Because at week 1, are you allowed to stress as much as Charlie did on Sunday? I mean, with such a long path to go. I mean, he was a nervous wreck in week 1.
I had money on the game.
Should it go to?
I had money on the game.
Should it go to?
Who did he have? The Cardinals?
No, we had the Cardinals and with the Broncos. We're sharing this. Yes. So, I mean, he's like 20 weeks of this I can't handle. So, I think that we should be trick-or-treating before we really give serious stress into this.
The attitude you really have to have. You're talking about a 20-week contest where you can only use a team once. You have to take the attitude that I'm going to lose. The chances of me going 20-0 are very unlikely, but let me see how long I could last. And I think once you get past Halloween, and that's like 7-8 weeks into the season, you're almost at the halfway point. So, maybe I got a chance, even though I eliminated 7-8 teams. But the stress really gets there once you hit Thanksgiving, and especially if you've survived the 2 Thanksgiving weeks.
I had a lot more stress with the stupid Texans fumbling at the 18-yard line at the end of the game. A lot more stress on that.
Yeah, that was bad. That was bad. So I thought there was a lot of 50-50 covers. I mean, tons.
Yeah.
I mean, last night's another
There usually
one.
are.
I mean,
Well, let me put it to you this way, because I track this each year. The number of two-way teaser winners in the NFL this past week. Let me see what that number was. I think it was 12 out of the.
Yes.
No, 10 out of the 16 were two-way. You could have teased either side in the game and won.
That's interesting. Yeah, it was kind of. Andy, before we go, we got about a minute. Anything in college that you have? Of course, you'll be with us on Football Sunday with your picks, along with Chris Massaro and Will Clem. Anything you got this week in college?
There's nothing that stands out, and I wish the number were a little bit lower. I'm seeing Notre Dame about 6.5 at home against Texas A&M. You know, Notre Dame played that tough. In fact, the only thing surprising about the Notre Dame game was that they scored 51 points, considering the total yards were 214 for Notre Dame, and 314 for Notre Dame and 324 for Miami. Usually, you don't see total points in the 50s in games with that kind of yardage. But they also had last week off to prepare for Texas A&M, and of course they went down to A&M last year and disappointed me because I had the Aggies in that one. But it was the start of a great season. Now coming off of that loss, returning, playing their first home game, having the extra time to prepare, A&M has not really been tested. They put up great numbers, but considering that they failed to cover both games. Now they were laying big numbers, but 23.5, and they beat Texas San Antonio at home by 18. Then they laid 34.5, and they beat Utah State at home by 22. So they played a couple of group of 5 teams at home, laying big numbers. And I'd be more concerned about the defensive numbers in yards that they gave up more than the 40 points that they scored in each game. So I'm thinking right now that I'm going to be on Notre Dame. Probably not a very strong play, but certainly a play, because if Notre Dame, being an independent, is going to make it, they do play a tough schedule, but starting 0-2 makes it very, very difficult, even with a 12-team field.
Follow Andy on Twitter at VegasAndy711, logicalapproach.com. Excellent read, and gives you a really good insight and provide you some angles to help your handicapping. Andy, we'll talk to you on Sunday. Thank you, buddy.
Have a great week, guys. Thank you.
Don't forget our friends at Total Maintenance at Unit Breaks Down. Call 480-1000. That's right. You just heard some horror stories of people with their AC going out, and they couldn't get anybody to come out to their house for a day or two. Call 480-1000, 480-1000. Lucas Ragusa and his unbelievable team at Total Maintenance. They believe in service today, every day. That means nobody goes to sleep hot when they call 480-1000. Total Maintenance, 480-1000.
Live at Mike Anderson's Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at Lunch with Ott and Yanni from Mike Anderson Seafood on Lee Drive on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
First class, second class, no class in the next segment. Jimmy, if Notre Dame doesn't win that game against Texas A&M, is there a place for a good win left on the schedule?
No.
I don't know who it would be.
No. At Pitt.
USC maybe, if they're any good. Boise State. I mean, how good are those?
The toughest game.
If they lose this and go 10-2, I don't know if that's a playoff resume.
Get in.
Well, okay.
I know it's not. You don't think they'll get in 10-2? They're getting in
because it's Notre Dame, maybe. But would they have a playoff resume? No, they wouldn't. Would they get in? You may very well be right. We do first class, second class, no class when we return here at the Oyster Bar. Mike Anderson, Seafood, Wesley at Nicholson, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at Lunch, first class.
I want a seat in first class where I was booked and ticketed over a month ago.
Second class.
No man should be subjected to the indignity of being labeled or treated like a second-class citizen.
And no class.
Life had become like school on Sunday. No class.
I'll tell you what then. Why don't you call me sometime when you have no class?
First class, second class, and no class. Brought to you by Supreme Rice. Buy local with Louisiana-based Supreme Rice since 1936.
And return here at Mike Anderson's, here in the front of the restaurant in the Oyster Bar. Come by and see us here for lunch. Also a great place if you're coming in to campus on Friday night. You're going to be here all weekend for the game. Open all afternoon on Friday. If you're getting in early, you're staying for the game. LSU and Florida this week. Come by your old favorite here, Mike Anderson's Wesley at Nicholson. All right, first class. Let's start off. Quarterbacks off to a good start. Now, look, I'm not going to tell you we didn't know all these names before the season. We did. But you got a lot of various opinions on these guys. They were not the Allers and the Nussmeyers and the Klubniks and the Sellers. They were not, guaranteed to do anything, but they're all off to phenomenal starts. Dante Moore for Oregon, 5-star guy, 77% of his passes, 6 touchdowns, no interceptions. John Mateer at Oklahoma, 72% of his passes, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, but he's also run for 98 yards and 3 touchdowns. Tommy Castellanos at Florida State, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, 68% of his passes, 120 yards and a touchdown on the ground. Sawyer Robertson at Baylor, 62% of his passes, 7 touchdowns, no interceptions, 859 yards. They've had to score 86 points in the first 2 weeks just to get to 1-1. And Marcel Reed at Texas A&M has completed 66% of his passes, 7 touchdowns, no interceptions, and also has 45 yards and a touchdown on the ground in A&M's 2 wins. There's some easy wins in here, and there's a couple of signature wins, one for Castellanos for sure for Florida State, one for Mateer. We're going to call that win against Michigan a really good win. You can get plus 900 or better on all of these guys to win the Heisman. None of them are guaranteed anything. The betting favorite remains Garrett Nussmeier at plus 700. Dante Moore's plus 900. Mateer's plus 1,000. Castellanos plus 2,500. Sawyer Robertson, who I think is going to have to put up monster numbers. I don't think Baylor's going to have a great record, but plus 6,000. And Marcel Reed plus 3,500. Jimmy, we were talking about Heisman Flyers earlier in the weekend.
Where's Nussmeier?
Nussmeier's plus 700 still.
Yeah, at where's the favorite? Mateer's favorite at DraftKings.
Okay, so you get different favorites. I'm looking at Bet Rivers. Mateer is plus 1,000. Is that about what he is at other places?
He's 800 at DraftKings. Nussmeier 850 in Carson Bet. It's early, man.
Sure, that's what I said. We're talking about Flyers. Any of those or somebody else that is worth a shot at this point as a long shot? Joey Aguilar from Tennessee, plus 4,000.
Yeah,
off to a good start there. Has a good chance. So
because their schedule is so favorable, they could win 10 games. Rocco Becht 80-1 from Iowa State. They're 3-0.
What if they win the Big 12? He's off to a terrific start. That's another one I didn't put in there, but certainly could have. Especially if they win what is a wide open league, and they've been in 2 close games and they've won both.
Castellanos 25-1. I think he looks good, man.
68% of his passes, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, 120 yards on the ground, and another touchdown, and he's got what for the moment is a really signature win for Florida State.
Why is Holstein not anywhere on the radar here? He's throwing for more yards than
plus 10,000. My first answer is Pitt. This is a tough place to come out of and win the Heisman. The stages that you're going to have. That's my first read. May not be fair, but that's my first read. He
throws the ball so much better than Drew Aller. And he's entering his second year as a starter, so he's getting a spike, and he looks like it. Mm-hmm. He looks like it. So we'll see.
He's got a year of eligibility left next year.
Stay.
You just stay there or stay somewhere else.
Wherever.
That's if you.
They're Power 4 program. You acting like they're in the MAC or something.
Jimmy, we live in a time where the starting quarterback at Georgia transferred. So I'm going to say that.
Oh, he kind of got nudged.
Well, okay. So did the quarterback at Ohio State.
He did.
Who was, so if you're Eli Holstein and pick a team that is a contender that would need a quarterback. Alabama, he was there before. That's a bad example. I don't know, LSU.
LSU, LSU be in the market for one next year.
Sure, if you got 1 year left.
I think LSU would be glad to have it.
Interested, yeah, very, very interested.
Yeah.
First class quarterbacks today. Second class, we had a lot of questions after the Clemson game about would the league or would the officials come out and say anything about the Barry Brown touchdown that ended up not being. Said no. The leagues generally only comment on the officiating when there's been a rules problem. Well, Big 12 had a rules problem. First quarter of Missouri's game with Kansas. Missouri was flagged for unsportsmanlike conduct. Kansas blocked the extra point attempt. The ensuing kickoff was illegal. They allowed a punt to return on a free kick. I didn't see this game. I don't know how you make this. I don't know how you make this mistake. The Big 12 officiating crew has been removed from their next scheduled assignment. They just missed this rule. Have you ever seen that? After a blocked conversion attempt where they awarded them a free kick? I didn't understand what I read, and I didn't see it, so I don't know. All I know is that the Missouri was flagged for an unsportsmanlike. Kansas blocked the extra point. And the ensuing kickoff, they allowed them for a free kick. From what I'm reading, I didn't see this, okay? Big 12 suspended all of the entire crew for the next game. Have you ever seen the free kick? I mean, I know about the fair catch rule at the end of the end of the half. You get a free kick if you want it. We saw that play last year, but I ain't never heard of this, and apparently there's a reason. It's illegal, so they suspended them. So don't say that the leagues never do anything to their officials when they screw it up this bad. But they're not going to do that on judgment calls. But on something like this,
this is a wrong enforcement of the rule.
Yeah. This is where you get the league to step in and say,
this is where you like in baseball, you protest the wrong misinterpretation of rule. Not no, it was a ball or strike. No, he was out or safe. No, it was interference or incomplete or not. No, this is just a wrong enforcement of a rule. Yeah, and so that's where you get reprimanded.
Yeah. No class. 3 entries this week. Some of them are co-entries. Okay, well.
John Harbaugh and who else?
No, maybe I could get on John Harbaugh, but there were some that were even more egregious than that. Last Monday night, Jalen Carter spit on Dak Prescott. This past Saturday, Brendan Bett, who's a transfer from Baylor, spit on Cole Skinner, who's an offensive lineman for South Florida. Carter's spitting at the beginning of the game didn't cost the Eagles. Bett's spitting absolutely cost the Gators. And what did we get after both of these things? Well, they made a terrible mistake. Both of the guys apologized. That's fine. And to the moment, neither one of their coaches has done a thing. We'll handle it internally. Okay. You want to make an example. You want to do something. You want to say, hey, look, this is unacceptable, but we're going to let it slide again. Neither one of these guys were suspended to me is ridiculous. I'm sorry. Okay. There's all kind of things that they suspend you in the NFL for and in college football for. You know, if you got PEDs or if you've been arrested or anything like that. But the on the field stuff to get suspended. We see guys get suspended all the time for marginal hits, okay, throwing a punch in a game. This doesn't rise to that level. This is what we want to say, okay, well, we know he did a bad, but, hey, this would really hurt us if they weren't playing the next week, so we're not going to do anything. I'm sorry, that's no class. These guys should have been suspended, both of them. and it shouldn't take the league to do it. We talked yesterday about why the SEC is unlikely to step in this thing because the athletic directors largely do not want the league policing them on every issue. They count on the athletic directors and university presidents to do this themselves. And so far, Florida hasn't done anything. I don't know if they will or not, but I know the Eagles haven't done anything, and the league hadn't stepped in. These guys should have been suspended. I mean, there's a when it happens twice in a week, there's a story to be told. There's a learning, moment, teaching moment, whatever. They didn't do it. So, my opinion, that's no class. But it all
too tough of a schedule,
I guess. I guess
no Villanova's in there.
If you're playing Norfolk State, maybe you could have suspended a guy.
Penn State is playing Villanova.
No, Penn State is. Well, but they should have been suspended. Is my point. But even that pales in comparison to what happened at the Phillies game on Friday night, and this crazy ass woman who went and took a baseball away from a 10-year-old, okay? Ordinarily, I don't like to highlight this kind of behavior, but this has been bandied about so much. If you haven't seen the video, a home run ball, father's there with his son, the kid's birthday, not that this woman knew that, but he was 10 years old, and he goes over and he gets a ball that is sitting on the ground, picks it up, hands it to his 10-year-old son. Wonderful moment, right?
Oh, he scrambled after it pretty good. It was like a Zulu coconut slipped through the hands.
He was down there about 5 or 6 seats. Yeah, he did. He went down there and got it. But it's not like they hit it to this woman and she dropped it. And she went over there and pitched an absolute hissy fit. And the guy, not wanting to escalate the situation, gave her the ball. And we're rewarding bad behavior again. We saw this at the U.S. Open, too, where some millionaire took a hat from a kid. If you are an adult, I'm sorry, and you take a baseball, a hat, an autographed picture, an autographed whatever, away from a little kid, you're a piece of crap. I'm sorry. I don't give a damn what your excuse is. If you go take a piece of memorabilia, a ball, a bat, a picture, a hat, whatever, away from a little kid, you're trash. I'm sorry. Now, there's a witch hunt on for this woman, to ruin her life the rest of the way. I'm not saying do all of that. But can you look at yourself in the mirror just a little bit if you're taking baseballs away from little kids? You're a middle-aged woman, and you're taking baseballs away from little kids. Really? I'm sorry. You've taken your kid to games before, Jimmy, right? Some woman comes over and throws a hissy fit. If 10-year-old Ethan had caught a baseball at a major league game or gotten a baseball, if you had gone 6 seats over for a ball that's in the aisle, it's sitting there.
He just gave. He's like, I just can't listen to this anymore. Like
he didn't want to escalate the situation.
Yeah. I mean, he just like, here, go. You obviously need it more than my son.
Right.
So
check yourself if you're taking souvenirs away from little kids.
It reminded me of the sickos at Mardi Gras knocking each other over for beads.
Yeah,
stuff,
right. I mean, come on. So anyway, that was my. Like I said, I don't even usually like to highlight.
I saw more orderly people on Bonds' record-breaking home run, huh? Remember how much that was?
Right, and that ball was worth 7 figures.
A little bit more than Harrison Bader's, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
in Miami.
This is a nice. Harrison Bader hits a home run in a September game, and the man's giving the ball to his kid.
I think Harrison Bader may have signed 1,800 baseballs that night because they're just happy for anybody to come to the Marlins games.
Yeah, right. What time's the game? What time can you be here? Kudos to the Marlins staff for bringing this kid a little bag of goodies, and good on Bader for signing some stuff for him after the game.
Bader?
Yeah. They went down. Bader signed.
So the Phillies the Marlins organized the Phillies player to meet with him?
No, the Marlins came. They sent like a staffer out there with a bag of stuff, hat, shirt, whatever, while he was still in the stands. And then after the game, he went under the stadium and met Bader. So good on all that. The internet will find this woman at whatever point. There's no hiding from that. And then
she was double burdened.
Yeah, right. Some guy berated her. Okay, and so she yelled at him, and then she gave the double bird. I mean, she's a fine, upstanding citizen. Somebody you really want to be around.
You don't know what she does. She wanted a baseball. The guy did come by her to get it. You know that?
He
It
went,
was
he
get
went
closer
down.
to
He
her.
went down the
Yeah,
thing. Yeah,
yeah.
it was closer to her. So what?
So she thinks that was her territory.
Right. She's got the whole area. Anything hits in this area.
Poor little thing.
Oh, good gracious.
All worked out.
First class, second class, no class brought to you by Supreme Rice and SupremeRice.com. Coming in tailgating this weekend. Your white beans, your red beans, your etouffees, your stews, whatever you're making, jambalaya, make it with Supreme Rice. Support our Louisiana farmers down in southwest Louisiana since the 1930s. Supporting our Louisiana farmers with a great product at a great price. All of our Supreme Rice is grown, milled, and processed here in South Louisiana. So pick it up at all your AG food stores, your Rouse's, your Walmart. Be very easy to pick it up here at Rouse's, where we're doing pregame this weekend. Brown, long grain, medium grain, the jasmine, and the parball rice, which is a staple at the Out household on Monday nights especially. Pick it up this weekend as you head on in to campus. Supreme Rice and SupremeRice.com. Live at Mike Anderson's Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN.
Wait, Supreme. We had Supreme shout-outs, too.
Supreme shout-outs?
Yeah, you didn't see it on Twitter? Huh?
I missed it. What
my man sent it yesterday.
What did I miss?
I mean, a Supreme shout-out to to Russell Batola. Russell Batola sent me. It's in his grocery basket. The parball rice.
Okay.
Said I'm getting that Jimmy out rice. Thank you, Russell. Supreme shout-outs, Charlie.
Supreme shout-outs. I like that. Supreme shout-out and Supreme Rice. Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at Lunch with Ott and Annie from Mike Anderson Seafood on Lee Drive on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
And we return here at Mike Anderson's. Wesley at Nicholson. We're also brought to you by Coastal Capital Advisors, because when it comes to retirement, look, your situation is different from anybody else's. Your age, your income level, whatever the specs are, as they say, they're going to be able to help you out and get a plan for your retirement. That's certainly what they've done for us. And it's not just, pop in, pop out. This is a relationship that they want to build for a lifetime. It's certainly what they have done for us. Work with your business partners. They'll work with your legal team. They'll work with tax professionals to make sure all your retirement goals are in line. CoastalCapitalADV.com. Ask for Phil Fontenot. Tell him Charlie told you about it. CoastalCapitalADV.com. And they are a member FINRA SIPC. I want to ask you about a game and a team that I saw only the highlights of this game, but I'm fairly certain you saw most of it, which was Kansas and Missouri this past weekend. And forget about the late cover for a second. Missouri busts out and gets the long run where they end up covering. This was a really good game. They fell behind 21-6 after the first quarter, and then they kind of had the better of it for the last three quarters of this thing. These two schools don't like each other. They have not played since 2011, and it's the yardstick was so one-sided in Missouri's favor, but somehow Kansas was around.
Kansas was winning by most of the game. It was winning by 21-6. Huh?
It was 21-6 after the first quarter.
Yeah.
It was tied at the half. I think they kicked the field goal to take a lead in the
settled
third
down.
quarter.
Missouri was best. Yeah.
Missouri had almost 600 yards of total offense.
Yeah.
That's better than twice as much as Kansas. They had more than twice as many first downs, and they only turned the ball over once.
But still came down to a fourth down, Charlie. They don't convert. And then they attacked one at the end. But this is about the 40-yard line. They had two fourth-down conversions on the one where they took the lead. So they were down 31-28, and deep into the fourth quarter. And they tapped one very late for a fortunate cover or unfortunate cover. So, no, they were just fighting behind the whole time. Missouri jumped on top first, and 6-0, but 21 unanswered in the first quarter, and it's kind of a little bit of Jalen Daniels kind of having to carry this team, and not a whole lot of room for error because their defense is not. And he's been tasked with that before. Missouri scored touchdowns on 3 of their last 4 drives. And as interesting as this game is to me, with the massive yardage discrepancy in a game they had to fight to win, I'm maybe even more interested in what Missouri's future might be. They get UL Lafayette this week. Hey, just hang with me for a second. They should win that game. They play South Carolina, but they play them at home.
They get a layup with UMass, and then they play Alabama at home. None of those games are not winnable. I suspect they're going to be a home underdog to Alabama unless Alabama stubs their toe. Between now and then, I know they got to play Georgia, but that's a game that they're supposed to lose. So let's say you get them to 5-1 in the second half. You get Mississippi State, you get Arkansas, you got to go to Vandy, but those Auburn. Those are all winnable games. Eli Drinkwitz is 11-5 the last 2 years in the league. That's better than Hugh Freeze. That's better than Brent Venables. That's the same record that Lane Kiffin has. They've won 21 games overall in the last 2 years. Over the last 2 years and 2 games, he's now 23-5.
But he's not 23-5 with Florida's schedule. He's not 23-5 with
But they're still playing
schedule.
in the SEC. I get he doesn't have the hardest schedule in the SEC.
He gets all the advantages of the SEC. But it's one of the more favorable schedules in his 2-year Band-Aid schedule.
Okay.
No, he's still doing. I get it. I mean, but you had your hands full with Kansas at home. You did. I mean, it's a little bit step up. We saw them last year try and step up. They got housed at A&M last year. Destroyed.
They did. That was an awful game.
Did they win on a last-second catch against a really bad Oklahoma team at home? They did. They're not going to go to Norman and beat them this year.
Not that game. But all of the other games I just named for you. I mean, this could be a 9.
But no, the schedule is they got a great schedule.
They've won a lot.
As far as the SEC is concerned, yeah.
They've won a lot of games. We always. I'm as guilty of this as anybody. We just forget about them. It's Missouri.
Well, they don't fit.
Yeah. They don't fit, but they're here. Okay, it's like an unwanted house guest. Okay, but they're here. All right, and they're winning, and they're winning. I get they're getting some schedule breaks, but it's still the league. I mean, we don't ever think of them when we talk about contenders. I don't. Maybe we should. Are they any good? I mean,
they're solid.
And Drinkwitz is this is a pretty good record here now. I mean, he's 40-26.
Well, you asked me my opinion. I just gave it to you, and I told you when we were talking about him last year. They were. I mean, this is your schedule guy. If you didn't see the disparity in the schedules of the 16 teams, and they're one of the more fortunate ones.
They are.
Okay.
I can't argue that.
I mean, it's Ole Miss is one of the more fortunate ones.
And he's got the same record as Lane Kiffin.
Yeah,
but when we talk about Lane Kiffin, it's like, okay, well.
Do you think Missouri had as good of a team as Ole Miss last year?
I did not.
No,
I did not.
No.
2 years ago, before the Band-Aid schedule, they were 6-2 in the league. That was the year they
beat Ohio State in the bowl game.
Depleted Ohio State.
Yeah,
I was more impressed with Tennessee was ranked that year and they demolished them.
That was when they had the back. I think they were a little bit better that year.
They gave LSU all they wanted.
Cook was LSU hadn't been that good.
No, that was the Daniels game.
Daniels had to put him on. Had to play hurt, put him on their shoulder, took everything he could. I mean, that was a track meet. LSU wasn't good.
Who else did they beat that year? They beat they beat a ranked Kentucky team that wasn't all that good. They beat a ranked Kansas State team that was on the 60-yard field goal. If you remember that game, they had 1, 2, 3,
played Kentucky.
four wins over ranked. 4 wins over ranked teams, and they lost to Georgia, who was 1 or 2 in the country at that point, by 9 in Athens. So that was a pretty good team. I don't know. We always forget about them. I just wonder if they might be hanging around there at the end of the season. Let them upset Alabama, and everybody will start to take notice. And I'm not hauling water for them. I don't know if they're really good or not, but they're going to have an opportunity here in the next few weeks to put some wins on the board that'll get some people's attention. So
don't forget, over here at Mike Anderson's, it's your stop before, during, and after LSU football. But Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we're open all day, man, all day. So, there was a big crowd over here for opening weekend. We're expecting more, even bigger crowd for the Florida game. And you don't want to show up at that tailgate party empty-handed. We've got gallons of strawberry daiquiris, gallons of frozen margaritas, gallons of frozen bushwhackers that you can take to your tailgate party. So take a look. Get your last-minute tailgating needs over here at Mike Anderson's.
Live at Mike Anderson's Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Annie from Mike Anderson Seafood on Lee Drive on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Return here in the Oyster Bar at Mike Anderson's. LSU with 23-7 win against Louisiana Tech. Greg Bowser joins us now to give us his thoughts on the game. Greg, good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon, Charlie. Doing fine. Sorry I can't be there with you, but I'm back in the home parish of St. Mary.
Okay, all right. Well, hey, a little hometown. Never get enough Franklin
Never get enough of it.
on the radio. Greg, the defense was fantastic in this game. They only allowed the one late drive, and they kept Louisiana Tech really stymied. But offensively, it was a real uneven performance for Garrett Nussmeier for the running game. LSU won the game, and they weren't in any real jeopardy of losing it, but. The coach wasn't terribly happy after the game, and a lot of fans were like, okay, we'll take the win, but not really what they wanted to see.
No, it wasn't. I think that what really surprised me is that they couldn't run the football with any consistency. And I think that's what you've got to be able to do. If you can't do it against Louisiana Tech, you would think it's going to be harder to do against Florida and some of the other SEC teams as you move on. So I think they've got to fix that. And I think, Nussmeier, I think he's going to play well. He'll be up and down, but I think for the most part, he's a veteran. I think he'll play well down the stretch. And look, remember last year, Charlie, Florida was a key game for us. And it was a key game for the University of Florida and Billy Napier. And he's right back in the same spot again.
It was so much later in the season than it is this year, but no, it went a long way towards Napier being able to keep his job. Let me flip back to the running game for a second. There are some that are not exactly enamored with the play calling, thought it was a little vanilla. There are some that are not exactly over the moon about the run blocking of the offensive line. And there's also this element that I think is the most intriguing part of this to me is what I'm calling the non-traditional run game. They've kind of leaned on a little bit here in the first 2 weeks, which greatly involves Xavier Thomas. It's been successful. I don't know how sustainable it is. So when you look at the problems, obstacles, challenges, whatever word you want to use, for the run game, you're talking about, well, they need to get it fixed. How best to get it fixed?
Well, I think you've got to run the ball. You just got to work at it. You have to make yourself run the football, and I think they can't get away from that. We saw that against Clemson. They kind of got away from it for a minute, but I think they've got to just stick with it and really go after it. And I think that's going to be the key. You just can't abandon it, because when you get in the thick of the SEC, if you can't run the football, teams are going to make you pay for that.
I don't know that they've got great run blockers up front right this second. I think they've got two tackles that are learning on the job. I think they've had a little bit of a rotation at guard. I think the two best run blockers they've got are the two transfers, and one of them, is at least questionable for this weekend. So, Greg, you're talking about a long-term fix if that's the case, which it's something that's going to be a season-long improvement. Because I don't think, maybe I'm wrong, I don't think that you just pop into being a great run team overnight. So what you're saying about keep after it, but you think they got the right personnel in there?
Well, I hope so, Charlie. Remember when we started the season, the quote from the coach was that he was going to rotate people at the offensive line. And when you say that, and I think I told that to you, when you say that, that tells me that you're not happy with what you have. You don't really rotate your offensive line. I think you've got to get 5 guys who can play together and are comfortable with each other, and they've got to be able to come off the football, and you got to be able to run. The tackles are the key to it. I agree with you, but the guards have got to be a part of that as well. And teams are going to load up against you. If you can't run the football, teams are going to make you pay for that, and your quarterback's going to be the one who gets running.
And he said he was going to rotate offensive linemen. He really hasn't all that much. The first game against Clemson, there was a little bit of rotation at left guard, but Mubenga played for the majority of that game. There were a couple of injuries where Adams missed a couple of snaps, Davis missed a couple of snaps in this last game, or Adams in the first game and Davis in this last game, where they had to go to Chester in the first game, and this other game, Carius Kern came in, but that was just for a couple of snaps. So he really hasn't rotated. Now, what he was forced to do in this game was replace his center, and Braylon Moore was their best offensive lineman in that first game, and they had to go back to DJ Chester in this game. How big of an impact? Can you really downplay that when he was your best offensive lineman and he's your center, he's in charge of all your calls?
No, when you say you're struggling to run the football and your best offensive lineman's not there, that's not a good thing. But again, I think they've got to really come up with some plays. One of the things they did against Clemson was they went to kind of a short screen game, to the quick screens to the wide receivers and maybe little reverses and things like that, which was basically nothing but a long handoff on the running play. And so that's the kind of stuff I think they're going to have to go back to if they can't fix this running game. And I know they want to run the football, but they've got to figure out how to do it. And I'm just not sure if the players they got up front are going to be the answer. We may see that this week. We may see them play some different people over there just to try to figure out what to do at those tackle spots.
I love what you said about the screen game because that was a big part of week 1. Not as big a part of week 2, but they've got guys that really should excel in that. Aaron Anderson, Xavion Thomas. I've been impressed with Barry and Brown's hands through the first couple of weeks. Those speed guys don't always have great hands. He has really good hands. I think all those guys, and I think they've got some running backs that can catch the football when they get to that point. I think the screen game might be what you're looking at, Greg. That can be can really open some things up in the run game.
I think it can. And the other thing I look for them to do is to spread everybody out, to get them out of the box. Maybe do a little full wide receiver set, get people out of the box, so you now have a better chance at running inside. And so that's the other thing. You can do it by formation. And I look for them to do a lot of that against Florida, just because of Florida's athleticism on the defensive side. If you let them crowd that box, you're already having trouble running the football. They start putting those athletic guys in the box, the guard tackle box, you're going to have trouble running the football.
In theory, they shouldn't be able to do that. We're going to take a closer look tonight at what happened last week. But if you have Brown and Hilton on the field, crowding the box really shouldn't be an option for the defense. I mean, you should have to play, and Clemson did. They played too deep most of the time. Louisiana Tech did. They played with that shell over the top. If you got those two speed merchants in the game, and I think Nick Anderson runs well enough too, honestly, if they do that, you should be able to throw the ball over their head.
Well, I think Florida's going to challenge it, Joe. I think you're going to see Florida go some single safety and roll some folks up. I don't think they're going to just sit back in the too deep zone. I think they feel like they've got enough athletes and enough speed on the outside to play with LSU, and you want to get to Nussmeier. If you give him time, I think Nussmeier will pick them apart. So I look for him to do that. I think you'll see more man coverage from Florida, and you're going to probably see a more single safety than you saw the last two games against LSU.
Anything about any reason, anything you could point to where Nussmeier was just a little more erratic in this game? Not really decision-making at all, just there were some bad throws that you usually don't see him make.
Well, I think he just kind of rushed a couple of things. Sometimes you get to a point where you start seeing things that are not really there from a pass rush perspective, and so the ball starts coming out early, and he starts rushing some things and throwing short. I think he just didn't settle himself down, and then he started to press. He probably felt like he should have been easy to do, and he started to press, and I think that hurt him a lot.
On the other side of the ball, I don't know that they could have played any better through the first 2 weeks. They went up to Clemson with what is supposed to be a good offense. Now, the jury may be out on that after that Troy game, but they really did a great job of shutting Clemson down and saved one last drive that really didn't mean a whole lot. We had some backups in the game. They completely shut Louisiana Tech down. And even if it's Louisiana Tech, man, you hold a team to under 150 yards offense or just over 150 yards offense. That's exceptional. Greg, they've rotated the defensive linemen the way they said that they would. They have had terrific play at corner, sticky coverage the way they said they would. Improved play at safety the way they said they would, and two, fantastic linebackers in Perkins and Weeks and West Weeks. Okay, Witt gets all of the ink. West Weeks leads the team in tackles by I think 6 through 2 weeks. So I don't know that you could have played this out any better through the first 2 weeks on the defensive side of the ball.
No, defensively, I think they played really well. They have a little bit different challenge coming up this week, Charlie, because I think Lagway's going to run the ball a little bit more. I think he's going to be more apt to tuck it and run just to be able to test the LSU defense. And I think that's going to be a big challenge for him as well. They have to keep him in the box. Don't let him start running on you. And I think that's going to be the big challenge for him.
I think you're probably right, and it doesn't come without risk. Lagway spent the entire offseason rehabbing one injury or another, and it was multiple things. It was a calf. It was he had a sports hernia. He missed a bunch of time. You expose him to getting beat up a little bit, and you're playing with fire. But that's Billy Napier's problem, I guess, because I expect what you're saying here is to Lagway to run a little bit. Last year, running quarterbacks killed LSU. Yep. So far this year, it looks like if you try to run the quarterback, and Klubnik is a good runner, and he had really 2 runs of any consequence in the first game. I think that they are a lot better equipped to handle the running quarterbacks than they were a year ago.
I hope so. I think Billy Napier likes to spread out with formations and try to dictate what you do defensively by formation. And I think he's going to look to run his quarterback, and that's what I would do, because you remember Jalen Melrose when he came against LSU, he was able to run the ball. A&M changed quarterbacks; they were able to run, as you mentioned. I just think he's going to have to add that to the mix of their offense, and we'll see what LSU does in terms of adjustments. I'm really happy at the way the defense is playing right now. I'm a little concerned that they haven't, really been against a team with a quarterback that's willing to tuck it and run. Klubnik would run it, but he wouldn't run it to relocate and throw it. He would run it. He didn't run as much as he normally would have in the past, and that was the difference with the Clemson game.
I gotta believe that Clemson didn't really feel like they could run him a whole lot, given LSU's pursuit. I mean, we made a big deal over the last play of the game where he looks like he's got an open alley, and all of a sudden, Perkins kind of hyperspaces halfway across the field, and it's like, okay, where'd you come from? So if Florida does run Lagway, and I'm with you, I expect that they will. He's going to find 7, I think, real quick, because you can, I don't want to say spy, but the pursuit is a lot better than it was a year ago in defending the quarterbacks.
Well, there's no question. The speed on defense, especially at the linebacker position, makes a big difference. But I think if LSU can contain Lagway and keep him inside the pocket, make him be a quarterback where he's got to read the defense and deliver a strike, I think that's where the defense is going to be at its best.
Greg, safe travels as you're down in South Louisiana, down in St. Mary Parish. Safe travels, my friend, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, I want to go by and see the Charlie Hannengriff Trophy statue that they got down here somewhere.
You'd be looking a long time, man. You'd be looking a long time. Thanks, Greg. We appreciate it. If he circles back around, comes back through Pierreport, he stopped at the Pierreport store.
Yes, indeed.
The Lord knows I've been around. I've been that way, coming back from Franklin a bunch of times. So, look, if you're getting ready for tailgating, if you missed the first week, you're coming out this week or next week, get on by the Pierreport store or the Thibodeau store. Get your tailgating stuff. Get your grills and your griddles and your big pots and all that stuff. But all of the accessories that go with it for tailgating, man, they got a ton of stuff here. Jimmy made his trip right before the season started. 900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodaux, Highway 70 in Pierreport. You can shop online, thethibodeaustore.com. Same-day pickup on a lot of these things if you wait until later in the week. Some of these items are available for delivery, and it is an outdoor kitchen, an outdoor chef's dream in these places.
Yeah, man, if you're doing it at the house, too. I mean, this little cool front, and it's not lasted long, but it's kind of giving you an idea. It's around the corner. So, nothing better than, the outdoor kitchen, doing a bunch of outdoor cooking. So, and having all of the little amenities that you want to do it better and to enjoy it as well. So, man, it's a outdoor cook, home chef's playground, man, over at the Thibodaux store and the Pierreport store.
TheThibodeauStore.com is where you go online. We'll take a break, come back, wrap things up here live at Mike Anderson's Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at Lunch with Ott and Yanni from Mike Anderson Seafood on Lee Drive on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Philly's real close to clinching the NL East. They win 1-0 last night. Aaron Nola with 6 shutout innings last night with
Good to see
Brandon
him.
Wheeler going. I was, with Wheeler done for the season, Kenny step in. I listened to the play-by-play guy, John Kruk, post-game last night after beating the Mets 1-0. They had 2 runners on that stranded in the 9th inning. I said if he could keep it up, to me, you got to give some consideration. He's done it before. We know he's got more playoff experience than all those guys. He's done pretty damn good in the playoffs also, but this has been a rough year for him. But I look glad they attributed it, relying more on his 2 and 4 seam fastball, and he was locating really well. Did touch 95 actually last night. It's not super hard throw, but that's plenty velo for him. So Aaron Nola showing us a little sign that maybe he can give the Phillies a little added pitching help in the postseason.
Yeah, glad to see that last night because the 4 starts since coming back off the DL were really, really rough, including the one before that against Milwaukee where he gave up 6 runs. But yesterday he was phenomenal. He looked more like the Aaron Nola that we expect. So hope that he does well down the stretch here for Philadelphia.
Bengals gave the game ball to Moody. He's gone now.
Yeah, the Niners put George Kittle on IR. We knew he was going to be out Sunday against the Saints, but
Moody missed. I'm sorry, for Moody for San Francisco.
Yeah, the guy for Cleveland's got the strange last name that I'm blanking on it right now. Schmidt, yeah.
Yeah, the guy
he
that
just
almost
spells
won
the
the Groza from the LSU guy.
Right.
Who was that? Who was the kicker that year? It's 2019, right?
York.
Yeah,
Cade York.
But Moody is 50%. He's missed half his field goals in the last 20 games.
He ain't going to miss any more. They cut him a little while ago. He missed a 27-yarder and had a 36-yarder blocked. You remember they took him in the 3rd round?
No, he was great for
really
the
high
Michigan team.
Really high for a kicker.
Oh, you remember the Illinois game when they fell behind 7 and Harbaugh just played for 3 field goals against him, beat him by 2?
Yeah.
Like 16-14 or something? No, he was kickers. I mean, he might be back. They resurface. They when it's mental, they need some time off.
He actually had a good year as a rookie. He made 84% of his kicks as a rookie, but this year not so much. So they're looking for a kicker. They had Greg Joseph in camp, but they released him. He's still out there. They go find somebody else. The real question is, are they going to have Brock Purdy on Saturday?
I don't. They're coming into the dome banged up, man.
It'll be Mac Jones if he is not able to go. All right. Thanks to the folks here at Mike Anderson's for being our host today. Tomorrow we will be at Modesto, corner of Burbank and Nicholson. So we hope that you can join us in. Randy McKay will be with us along with Wes Reynolds and Scott Rabelais. For Max, for Jimmy, Jordan, back in the studio, I'm Charles Hanniger saying thank you and good afternoon. Stay tuned for Hunt Palmer, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.